Captain Jinwoo Park stood on the bridge of the human ship Terra's Voice and watched the massive Galaxy Council station grow larger on the main screen. The station was huge, bigger than any human city. It floated in space around the planet Nexus Prime like a metal moon. Ships from dozens of different alien species moved around it like busy insects. Jinwoo had been a ship captain for 15 years, but this was his first time seeing the Galaxy Council's main station. He was nervous. The message from the Council had been clear. They wanted to talk to humanity, and they wanted to talk now. "Captain, we're getting a landing signal from the station," said Lieutenant Kim. She was young and excited to see alien technology up close. "Take us in slowly," Jinwoo ordered. "Let's not give them any reason to think we're aggressive." Ambassador Sarah Chen walked onto the bridge. She was Earth's best diplomat, but even she looked worried. "Any word on what they want to discuss?" she asked. Jinwoo shook his head. "The message just said it was urgent business about human expansion in the galaxy. Nothing more." Sarah frowned. Humanity had been part of the galactic community for 50 years now. In that time, humans had built colonies on 12 different worlds. Other species had taken hundreds of years to expand that much, but humans did it in half a century. Maybe that was the problem. The Terra's Voice docked at the station without trouble. Jinwoo watched through the windows as Sarah and her small team of diplomats walked through the docking tube. He had orders to wait for them and be ready to leave quickly if needed. Something about this meeting felt wrong. Inside the station, Sarah and her team followed alien guides through massive corridors. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft light. Aliens of different species walked past them. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking trees, and some like rocks that had learned to move. All of them stared at the humans as they passed. The meeting room was enormous. At the center sat a huge table made of black stone. Around it sat the leaders of the Galaxy Council. Sarah recognized some of them from her studies. The tall, crystal-skinned beings were Vorthak. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. The plant-like creatures were Florins. The rock beings were Granite Lords. All of them were old species, old and powerful. Council Speaker Thex Moore stood up as the humans entered. He was Vorthak, nearly 3 meters tall, with skin that looked like blue crystal. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind chimes. "Welcome, humans," he said. "Please, sit." Sarah and her team took seats at one end of the table. They looked very small compared to the alien leaders around them. "We have called you here," Thex Moore continued, "because the Galaxy Council has concerns about human activities in space." "What kind of concerns?" Sarah asked. She kept her voice calm and professional. Thex Moore gestured to a holographic display that appeared above the table. It showed a map of human space. Red dots marked the 12 human colonies. "In 50 years, humanity has expanded to 12 worlds," Thex Moore said. "This is extremely fast expansion. Too fast. It concerns the Council." Sarah looked at the map. "Humans are good at adapting to new environments. We work hard and we grow quickly. Is that against galactic law?" "Not against law," rumbled a Granite Lord. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "But dangerous. Fast growth leads to conflict. History shows this." A Florin leader leaned forward. Her voice was like rustling leaves. "Young species that grow too fast often become aggressive. They start wars. They disturb galactic peace." Sarah felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept her voice steady. "Humans have not started any wars. We've had peaceful relations with all species we've met." "So far," said Thex Moore, "but the Council cannot take risks with galactic peace. We have made a decision." The holographic display changed. Now it showed human space surrounded by a red boundary line. "Humanity will stop all expansion beyond your current 12 worlds," Thexmore announced. No new colonies, no new settlements. You will also submit all human military technology for Council review, and you will accept Council overseers on all human worlds to ensure compliance. Sarah stared at the display in shock. You're asking us to give up our freedom. We are ensuring galactic peace, Thexmore replied. This is not a request, it is a requirement. And if we refuse, Sarah asked, then the Council will take necessary action. Economic sanctions first. If needed, military action to enforce galactic security. Sarah looked around the table at the alien faces watching her. Some seemed sad, others looked angry, but none looked like they would change their minds. I need to discuss this with my government, Sarah said. Of course, Thexmore said. You have 72 hours to give us your answer. The meeting ended quickly after that. Sarah and her team were escorted back to their ship. As they walked through the station corridors, Sarah noticed more alien security guards than before. She also saw more warships moving around the station. Back on the Terra's Voice, Jinwoo immediately sent a secure message to Earth, while Sarah called an emergency meeting with the government leaders back home. The answer came back 6 hours later. They said no, Sarah told Jinwoo. Earth refuses to accept the ultimatum. We're requesting a formal hearing to address the Council's concerns through proper diplomatic channels. Jinwoo nodded, but he was watching his scanner displays. Ambassador, I'm seeing a lot of military movement around the station. More ships arriving every hour. Sarah looked at the tactical display. Dozens of alien warships were taking positions around the station. It looked like preparation for war. Send our reply to the Council, Sarah ordered, but be ready to leave fast. I don't think they're going to like our answer. Jinwoo prepared the message and sent it to the Galaxy Council. Then he ordered his crew to prepare for immediate departure. Something was about to happen, and he wanted to be ready. In the council meeting room, Thexmore read the human reply with no expression on his crystal face. Around the table, other council members waited for his reaction. They refuse, he announced. Humanity chooses to be a threat to galactic peace. Then we proceed with the plan, said the Granite Lord. Signal all fleet commanders, Thexmore ordered. Operation Galactic Security begins in 12 hours. The humans will learn that the Galaxy Council protects peace at any cost. The trap was set, and humanity was about to discover what happened when the galaxy's oldest powers decided they were a threat. The attack came without warning. Captain Jinwoo Park was drinking coffee on the bridge when alarms started screaming throughout the Terra's Voice. Red lights flashed as his crew rushed to their stations. Captain, we're detecting massive energy signatures, Lieutenant Kim shouted over the noise. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace around the station. Jinwoo set down his coffee and ran to the main screen. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Hundreds of alien warships were appearing around the Galaxy Council station. They were not there for a parade. Get Ambassador Chen up here now, Jinwoo ordered, and prep the ship for emergency jump. The comm system crackled to life with urgent messages from human colonies across the galaxy. The voices were filled with panic and fear. New Sol colony to any human ships. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. Haven's Rest colony, emergency broadcast. Alien fleets in orbit. They're bombing our spaceport. Terra Nova calling for help. Power grid is down. Communication arrays destroyed. Sarah Chen ran onto the bridge just as another message came through. This is Kepler Station. Council ships everywhere. They're not responding to our hails. They're just, oh God, they're firing on the civilian transports. Sarah grabbed Jinwoo's arm. We have to get back to Earth. Working on it, Jinwoo said through gritted teeth. Engineering. How fast can you get us out of here? 2 minutes for safe jump calculations, Captain, came the reply. You have 30 seconds, Jinwoo snapped back. Through the main screen, they could see alien fighters launching from the Galaxy Council station. The fighters were heading straight for the Terra's Voice. Captain, incoming transmission from the station, Lieutenant Kim reported. Put it on screen. Council Speaker Thex Moore appeared on the display. His crystal face showed no emotion, but his words were sharp and cold. Human vessel Terra's voice. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. By order of the Galaxy Council. All human representatives are now under arrest for threatening galactic security. Jinwoo looked at Sarah, who shook her head firmly. Tell him we respectfully decline his invitation, Jinwoo said. Before Lieutenant Kim could reply, the ship shook violently. The alien fighters were firing warning shots. Jump drive ready, engineering called out. Do it, Jinwoo ordered. Space twisted around them as the Terra's voice disappeared into hyperspace, just as alien missiles exploded where they had been seconds before. As they traveled through hyperspace toward Earth, more terrible news kept coming over the emergency channels. 8 of humanity's 12 colonies were under attack. The alien fleets were not trying to kill people. Instead, they were destroying power plants, communication centers, and spaceports. They wanted to cut the colonies off from each other and from Earth. It's a coordinated attack, Sarah said, studying the reports. They planned this perfectly. Hit us all at once so we can't coordinate a response. On Earth, Admiral Elena Vasquez was having the worst day of her military career. She stood in Luna Command, Earth's military headquarters on the moon, watching red warning lights flash across every screen in the room. Report, she ordered as officers rushed around her. 8 colonies under attack, Admiral, said Commander Torres. New Sol, Haven's Rest, Terra Nova, Kepler Station, Meridian, New Kyoto, Frontier's Edge, and Darwin's World. All report major infrastructure damage. What about our fleet? Scattered and outnumbered, the Council fleets hit us with superior technology. Our weapons barely scratch their shields while their precision strikes are taking out our ship's engines without destroying them. They want to capture, not kill. Admiral Vasquez studied the tactical displays. It was a nightmare. Humanity had 50 years of space technology. The Galaxy Council had thousands of years. In a straight fight, humans would lose badly. Casualties? She asked quietly. Surprisingly low. The attacks targeted infrastructure, not population centers, but 3 colonies are completely cut off from communication. 5 others are barely holding on. A new message appeared on the main screen. Council Speaker Thex Moore's crystal face filled the display. People of Earth, he began, the Galaxy Council regrets that military action became necessary. Your government's refusal to accept peaceful limitations has forced us to ensure galactic security through other means. Admiral Vasquez wanted to punch the screen. Your colonies are now under Council protection, Thex Moore continued. Your military forces have been neutralized with minimal loss of life. This shows the Council's mercy and wisdom. Mercy? Admiral Vasquez muttered angrily. Earth has 48 hours to accept Council terms, Thex Moore said. Submit to permanent Council oversight and cease all expansion, or face complete isolation from galactic civilization. Your space-based infrastructure will be destroyed, and Earth will be blockaded until you accept reality. The message ended. Admiral Vasquez stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Around her, officers waited for orders. Get me a secure line to President Martinez, she said finally, and start pulling back our remaining fleet to defensive positions around Earth. Ma'am, what about the colonies? Commander Torres asked. For now, they're on their own, Admiral Vasquez said. The words tasted bitter in her mouth. We can't help them if we're destroyed too. On New Sol Colony, engineer Min Jun Ko crawled through the smoking ruins of the spaceport. The alien bombardment had been precise and devastating. Every ship was damaged. Every communication array was destroyed. The main power plant was a pile of twisted metal. But Min Jun was not ready to give up. He was a human, and humans were good at solving problems. Yan Su! He called to his assistant. Get the mining equipment from Sector 7. If they want to cut off our communications, we'll build new ones underground. With mining equipment? Yan Su asked. Mining equipment, farming tools, whatever we can find, Min Jun replied. The Council thinks destroying our spaceport means we're helpless. They're about to learn how wrong they are. Similar scenes were playing out across the attacked colonies. On Terra Nova, Dr. Maria Santos was studying the alien surveillance drones flying over her research station. She was a biologist who specialized in alien ecosystems. The drones were clearly organic technology, living machines bred by the plant-like florins. If they're alive, she said to herself, then they can die. On Haven's Rest, former military officer Captain Lee was organizing civilian volunteers into resistance groups. The Council had destroyed their official military base, but they had not counted on farmers and miners knowing how to fight. Back on Luna Command, Admiral Vasquez received a priority message from the Terra's voice. Captain Park and Ambassador Chen had made it back to human space safely. Admiral, Sarah's voice came through the communicator, I need to meet with you immediately. I have information about Council fleet movements that could be important. On my way to the briefing room, Admiral Vasquez replied. As she walked through the corridors of Luna Command, Admiral Vasquez thought about the Galaxy Council's ultimatum: 48 hours to surrender or face destruction. The smart military choice was to accept the terms and save human lives. But humans had never been good at making the smart choice when it meant giving up their freedom. Commander Torres, she called over her shoulder, start moving our hidden assets into position and send a message to all colony resistance groups. Tell them to hold on. We're not done fighting yet. The Galaxy Council had made one critical mistake. They thought that destroying human infrastructure would break human spirit. They were about to learn that making humans angry was much more dangerous than making them afraid. 3 weeks after the Council attack, something unexpected was happening on the human colonies. Instead of surrender, there was resistance. Instead of despair, there was determination. The Galaxy Council was learning that destroying human infrastructure was not the same as defeating human spirit. On New Sol Colony, Min Jun Ko wiped sweat from his forehead as he looked at his latest creation. What had once been a mining drill was now something completely different. His team had rebuilt it into a mobile communications station that could hide underground during the day and emerge at night to send messages. It's not pretty, said his assistant Yeon Su, but it works. The Council's surveillance drones can't detect it when it's underground, Min Jun explained, and at night their sensors get confused by the local mineral deposits. We can talk to the other colonies again. The first messages they received were encouraging. Every attacked colony was fighting back. Nobody was giving up. Ha! Look at this message from Terra Nova, Yeon Su laughed. Dr. Santos says she figured out how to make the alien surveillance drones sick. Min Jun grinned. And Captain Lee on Haven's Rest has been raiding Council supply convoys with farming equipment turned into weapons. I want to meet these people someday. Above them, alien drones flew in neat patterns, searching for human resistance activity. They never thought to look underground. The plant-like florins who made the drones were logical creatures. They built their technology to work in predictable ways. Humans were not predictable. On Terra Nova Colony, Dr. Maria Santos was having the time of her life. As a biologist, she had always wanted to study living alien technology up close. Now she had all the samples she wanted, thanks to the Council surveillance drones her traps were catching. The drones are definitely organic, she explained to her research team. They're grown, not built. The Florins breed them like we breed dogs, but for specific tasks. Can we control them? Asked her assistant, Jun Ho. Better, Maria smiled. I've isolated a virus from the local ecosystem that their organic systems can't handle. We can't control them, but we can definitely kill them. She held up a small spray bottle filled with a cloudy liquid. One spray of this and their nervous system shut down in about 10 minutes. I call it Drone Killer. How many drones have you tested it on? 47 so far. It works every time. The Council thinks they're watching us, but half their surveillance network is already dead. Meanwhile, Captain Jinwoo Park was having a very different adventure. After delivering Ambassador Chen safely to Earth, he had been given a new mission. Admiral Vasquez wanted him to check on something called Project Midnight Sun at a secret research station near Titan. The research station was built inside an asteroid, hidden from Council sensors. When Jinwoo docked his ship, he was met by Dr. Amanda Liu, the project director. "Captain Park," she said with excitement, "you're just in time to see something amazing." She led him through corridors carved into rock until they reached a huge underground hangar. Inside was a ship unlike anything Jinwoo had ever seen. It looked human, but it also looked alien at the same time. "We've been reverse engineering captured Council technology for 5 years," Dr. Liu explained. "This is our first successful prototype. We call it the Shadowhawk." "It looks dangerous," Jinwoo said. "It is. The Council builds their ships to be predictable and efficient. We built this one to be unpredictable and adaptable. Their targeting systems can't get a lock on it." Dr. Liu handed him a datapad. "Admiral Vasquez wants you to take this ship and test it against real Council forces. Find their weaknesses." Jinwoo looked at the strange ship and grinned. "When do we launch?" Back on Luna Command, Admiral Vasquez was coordinating the most unusual military operation in human history. Instead of fighting the Council directly, humanity was using what humans did best: adapt and improvise. "Report from New Seoul," Commander Torres announced. "They've established underground communication networks connecting all the mining settlements. The Council thinks they cut off the colony, but the Resistance fighters are more connected than ever. Terra Nova reports successful biological warfare against surveillance drones. They're requesting permission to share the drone killer formula with other colonies." "Permission granted," Admiral Vasquez said immediately. "What about Haven's Rest?" "Captain Lee's civilian volunteers have captured 3 Council supply convoys using modified farming equipment. They're learning how Council logistics work." Admiral Vasquez smiled grimly. The Council had expected quick surrender when faced with superior technology. They hadn't expected humans to turn their own tools into weapons and their weaknesses into strengths. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park called from the communications station. "We're getting a transmission from Captain Park. He's requesting permission to begin Operation Blind Spot." "Operation Blind Spot?" Admiral Vasquez asked. "Using the Shadowhawk to test Council defensive weaknesses," Commander Torres explained. "The research team thinks they found gaps in their detection grid." "Approved. Tell Captain Park to be careful but aggressive. We need to know what the Council can and can't defend against." Captain Jinwoo Park received the approval while piloting the Shadowhawk through an asteroid field near Council patrol routes. The ship handled like a dream, responding to his thoughts as much as his hands. "Target acquired," said Lieutenant Kim, who had volunteered for the dangerous mission. "Council patrol ship, Vorthak design, standard configuration." "Remember, we're not trying to destroy it," Jinwoo said. "We're testing their reactions and learning their weaknesses." The Shadowhawk attacked like a ghost. It appeared on the Council ship's sensors for just a few seconds, fired a precise shot that disabled their engines, then vanished again. The Council ship's sophisticated targeting systems couldn't track something that moved so unpredictably. "They're sending a distress signal," Lieutenant Kim reported, "and deploying hunter-killer drones." "Perfect. Let's see how smart their drones are." For the next hour, Jinwoo led the Council drones through an elaborate game of hide-and-seek in the asteroid field. The human ship could hide where Council ships couldn't follow and move in ways Council computers couldn't predict. "They're giving up," Lieutenant Kim announced with surprise. "The drones are returning to the patrol ship." "Excellent. Send all our sensor data back to Luna Command. Admiral Vasquez is going to love this." On Earth, the Galaxy Council's ultimatum deadline was approaching. In 12 hours, humanity had to give their final answer. President Martinez sat in the emergency session of the world government, listening to reports from the colonies. Every attacked colony is not only still fighting, they're getting stronger, General Harrison reported. The Council's plan to isolate and weaken them has completely failed. What about Council response to our resistance activities? President Martinez asked. Confused and frustrated, Admiral Vasquez answered. Their military doctrine assumes enemies will fight predictably. When we don't follow their rules, they don't know how to adapt quickly. President Martinez looked around the room at Earth's leaders. Recommendation? We tell them no, Admiral Vasquez said firmly. We've learned enough in 3 weeks to know we can hurt them. Maybe not win a straight fight, but make them pay a price they're not willing to accept. Ambassador Chen stood up. Mr. President, I've studied the Council species for 20 years. They're old and set in their ways. They've been the dominant power for so long that they've forgotten how to fight someone who doesn't follow their rules. And if we're wrong, President Martinez asked quietly, then we lose as free humans instead of living as slaves, Admiral Vasquez replied. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would reject the Council ultimatum. As the deadline approached, Council Speaker Thex Moore sat in his command ship expecting a message of surrender. Instead, he received something that shocked him to his crystal core. Council Speaker Thex Moore, Ambassador Chen's voice came through the communication system. The United Government of Earth rejects your ultimatum. We will not surrender our freedom to anyone, including you. Furthermore, Chen continued, we demand the immediate withdrawal of all Council forces from human space and reparations for the damage you have caused to our colonies. Thex Moore stared at the communication panel in disbelief. Reparations. They're demanding reparations from us. Around the command center, other Council officers looked equally shocked. In 3,000 years of Council dominance, no species had ever demanded anything from them. Sir, the tactical officer reported, we're detecting unusual human ship movements throughout their territory. They appear to be taking offensive positions. Impossible, Thex Moore said. Their fleet was neutralized in the initial attack. Yes, sir, but these appear to be new ships using unknown technology. Our sensors are having difficulty tracking them. For the first time in his long life, Council Speaker Thex Moore felt something he had never experienced before. Uncertainty. The humans were not behaving according to any model in Council databases. They were supposed to be defeated, desperate, and ready to surrender. Instead, they seemed to be preparing for war. Increase patrols around human space, he ordered, and request reinforcements from the home fleets. If the humans want to fight, we'll show them why the Galaxy Council has ruled for 3,000 years. What Thex Moore didn't know was that humanity was about to show him something the Council had never seen before. What happened when you made humans truly angry? The first major human victory came as a complete surprise to the Galaxy Council. It happened at Kepler Station, one of the Council's main supply bases in human space. What the Council thought was a secure position became a trap when humans showed them that predictable thinking was a dangerous weakness. Captain Jinwoo Park led the attack with 12 Shadowhawk fighters, but the real genius was in the plan that Dr. Maria Santos and engineer Min Jun Ko had developed together over secret communications. Remember, Jinwoo told his pilots as they approached the station, we're not the main attack. We're the distraction. The Shadowhawks appeared on Council sensors exactly when they were supposed to. The station's defensive systems immediately focused on the strange human ships that moved in impossible patterns. Energy weapons fired at targets that weren't where they seemed to be. All defensive drones deployed, reported the station commander to his Council superiors. Human attack ships using unknown stealth technology. What the Council didn't know was that while their attention was fixed on Jinwoo's fighters, Min Jun Ko was leading a much larger force through the asteroid field behind the station. His ships looked like ordinary cargo haulers, so the Council sensors ignored them. Phase 2, Jinwoo announced over the secure channel. Dr. Santos had spent weeks studying captured Council organic technology. Now her biological weapon was ready. Cargo containers launched from the hidden human ships and burst open near the station, releasing clouds of modified virus. The results were immediate and devastating. Every organic system on Kepler Station started dying. The living computers that controlled life support, weapons, and shields all began shutting down as the virus spread through their biological networks. "Station systems failing," the Council commander transmitted desperately. "Organic components are dying. We need immediate evacuation." But the evacuation ships couldn't dock because their own organic systems were infected as soon as they got close to the station. Within 6 hours, Kepler Station was dead in space, and 3 Council ships were drifting helplessly nearby. "Kepler Station secured," Min Jun reported to Admiral Vasquez. "No human casualties. Council forces surrendering." The news spread through human space like lightning. For the first time since the attacks began, humans had won a major victory against the Galaxy Council. But more importantly, they had captured intact Council technology and taken prisoners. High Admiral Zeth Var, the Council's military commander for the human sector, was among the prisoners. He was a granite lord, one of the rock-like beings who had helped plan the original attack on humanity. Now he sat in a human detention cell, still shocked by his capture. "This is impossible," he kept saying to his Vorthak aide. "Inferior species don't defeat Council forces. It doesn't happen." But it had happened, and it was about to happen again. The victory at Kepler Station gave Admiral Vasquez something she desperately needed: detailed intelligence about Council military operations. High Admiral Zeth Var's command ship contained complete battle plans, fleet positions, and most importantly, information about Council weaknesses. "They have protocols for everything," Dr. Liu reported after analyzing the captured data. "Protocols for ship movements, protocols for communications, protocols for tactical responses, but no protocols for dealing with enemies who don't follow protocols." "What else?" Admiral Vasquez asked. "Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's designed for specific situations. When those situations change, they have to manually reprogram everything. We can adapt in real time. They need hours or days to modify their approach." Commander Torres added more good news. "The captured data shows Council positions throughout human space. They're spread thin trying to hold all our colonies. If we hit them in coordinated attacks, they won't be able to respond effectively." Admiral Vasquez studied the tactical displays. Red dots showed Council positions. Blue dots showed human resistance groups that were now much stronger than the Council realized. "What about reinforcements?" 3 weeks away at best," Dr. Liu replied. "The Council's home fleets are scattered across the galaxy dealing with other species. They thought humanity would be easy to defeat, so they only brought minimal forces." "Time for Operation Hammer," Admiral Vasquez decided. Operation Hammer was unlike anything the Galaxy Council had ever faced. Instead of attacking with a traditional fleet, humanity attacked with creativity and fury. On New Sol Colony, Minjun Ko's underground resistance emerged from their tunnels with weapons built from mining equipment and powered by fusion cells salvaged from damaged ships. They hit the Council occupation force simultaneously from 12 different directions. On Terra Nova, Dr. Santos released her biological weapons in coordinated strikes against every Council ship in the system. Organic components died faster than they could be replaced. On Haven's Rest, Captain Lee led farmers and miners in an assault using agricultural machinery modified for warfare. Council forces trained to fight professional military units had no idea how to respond to attacks from combines and tractors armed with plasma weapons. The most devastating attack came from an unexpected source. Captain Jinwoo Park had infiltrated deep into Council territory using a captured Vorthak cruiser. His target was the Council's main command ship, the one directing all military operations in human space. "This is insane," Lieutenant Kim whispered as they approached the massive command vessel. "If they discover we're human—" "They won't," Jinwoo replied confidently. "Their security protocols assume that only Council species can operate Council ships. They literally can't imagine that we figured out how to use their technology." The infiltration worked perfectly, because the Council's rigid thinking made them blind to possibilities they hadn't planned for. Jinwoo's team walked through the command ship wearing captured Vorthak armor, and the ship's computer systems accepted them as authorized personnel. "Bridge is just ahead," Jinwoo whispered to his team. "Remember, we're not here to capture the ship. We're here to capture the command codes and tactical data." "And High Admiral Zethvar's replacement," added Sergeant Park, one of the human Special Forces soldiers. The assault on the bridge was swift and brutal. The Council officers never had a chance to sound an alarm before human soldiers had control of the command center and its precious data. "All Council command codes captured," Jinwoo reported back to Admiral Vasquez, "and we have Admiral Thek's corps in custody." "Thek's corps? Not Zethvar?" "Zethvar's replacement. Apparently, they promoted him after Zethvar was captured at Kepler Station." The capture of two high-ranking Council officers in just a few days sent shockwaves through the Galaxy Council leadership. For the first time in their long history, Council admirals were being taken prisoner by a species they considered inferior. But the greatest shock was still to come. The data captured from the command ship revealed something that changed everything. The Galaxy Council's attack on humanity was not about security or expansion concerns. It was the first step in a much larger plan. "Look at this," Dr. Liu said, displaying the captured files for Admiral Vasquez and her staff. "Operations Dark Horizon, Silent Storm, and Final Peace. They're planning to subjugate every young species in the galaxy." The files contained detailed plans for attacking and controlling dozens of other species. Humanity was just the first target because human expansion worried the Council most. After defeating humans, they planned to use the same tactics against the Centauri Federation, the Tau Ceti Alliance, and 15 other species. "They're planning to become the absolute rulers of the galaxy," Admiral Vasquez said quietly. "No more independent species, no more free worlds, just the Council and their subjects." Ambassador Chen looked at the data with growing anger. They never intended to just limit human expansion. They wanted to test their new conquest strategy on us first. "What do we do with this information?" Commander Torres asked. Admiral Vasquez stood up, her face grim with determination. "We share it. Every species the Council is planning to attack needs to know what's coming, and they need to know that humans figured out how to fight back." "You're talking about starting a galactic war," Torres said. "No," Admiral Vasquez replied. "I'm talking about finishing one. The Council started this war when they decided to enslave the galaxy. We're going to end it." Captain Jinwoo Park received new orders while still aboard the captured Council command ship. Instead of returning to human space, he was to take the ship to the Centauri Federation and deliver the captured intelligence data to their government. "The Centauri are the Council's next target," Admiral Vasquez explained over the secure channel. "They need to know what's coming, and they need to know that the Galaxy Council can be defeated." As Jinwoo set course for Centauri space, he thought about how much had changed since the Council's first attack. Humanity had gone from being victims to being liberators. The species that tried to crush human expansion was about to learn that they had awakened something far more dangerous than human ambition. They had awakened human justice. And justice, Jinwoo reflected, was something the Galaxy Council had forgotten how to handle. 6 months after the Galaxy Council's attack on humanity, the entire galaxy was at war. What began as an attempt to crush human expansion had become a revolution that threatened to destroy the Council's 3,000-year rule. Council Speaker Thex Moore stood in the emergency session chamber, facing angry representatives from dozens of species. The evidence that Captain Jinwoo Park had delivered to the Centauri Federation had spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire. Every species now knew about the Council's secret plans for galactic domination. "This is preposterous," declared Ambassador Kree of the Tau Ceti Alliance. "The Council claims to protect galactic peace, but you were planning to enslave us all." "The security documents are clearly authentic," added Counselor Vex from the Rigel Collective. "How do you explain Operation Final Peace? How do you explain plans to eliminate the independence of 47 species?" Vex Moore tried to maintain his authority, but his crystal voice now sounded defensive rather than commanding. "The Council has always acted to preserve galactic stability. Some species require guidance to prevent chaos." "Guidance!" roared General Ironback of the Centauri Federation. "You call military conquest guidance?" The chamber erupted in angry voices from dozens of different species. The Galaxy Council's authority was crumbling as their lies were exposed, but the worst news for the Council came from their military commanders. "Speaker Thex Moore," Admiral Vestak reported over a secure channel. "Human forces have liberated 3 more Council-controlled worlds. The Rigel system has declared independence and is actively supporting human military operations." Thexmore felt something he had never experienced before: despair. How is this possible? Humans are a young species with primitive technology. "Their technology is no longer primitive," Admiral Vestak replied grimly. "They've reverse-engineered our systems and improved them. Their ships are faster and more adaptable than ours. Their tactics are completely unpredictable. And they're not fighting alone anymore," added Admiral Zornim. 6 species have joined what they're calling the Free Species Alliance. They're sharing technology and coordinating attacks across 12 sectors. The Free Species Alliance had been Admiral Elena Vasquez's masterpiece of strategy. Instead of simply fighting the Council, humanity had offered something better, an alternative to Council rule based on cooperation rather than domination. "The data we captured proves the Council was never interested in peace," she had explained to the Alliance leaders during their first meeting. "They want absolute control. We offer something different. We offer freedom." The response had been overwhelming. Species that had been forced to submit to Council authority for centuries suddenly saw a chance to reclaim their independence. More importantly, humanity had proven that the Council could be defeated. Captain Min Jun Ko, now promoted to Admiral after his success on New Sol Colony, led the Alliance fleet in the Battle of Nexus Prime. The same space around the massive Council station where humanity had first received their ultimatum had become the site of the largest space battle in galactic history. "All Alliance ships, this is Admiral Ko," he broadcast to the combined fleet. "Remember, our goal is not revenge. Our goal is justice. We fight to free the galaxy, not to rule it." The Alliance fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships with their unpredictable tactics flew alongside Centauri heavy cruisers, Rigel stealth fighters, and Tau Ceti missile platforms. Each species contributed their greatest strengths while covering each other's weaknesses. The Council fleet was larger and more heavily armed, but they fought the way they always had, predictably and by established protocols. The Alliance fleet fought with creativity and coordination that the Council couldn't match. "Human Squadron, execute Pattern Chaos 7, Admiral Ko ordered. Captain Jinwoo Park, commanding a wing of Shadowhawk fighters, grinned as he received the order. Pattern Chaos 7 was his own invention, an attack pattern so random that even he didn't know exactly what he was going to do until he did it. "You heard the Admiral," he told his pilots. "Time to show the Council what unpredictable really means." The human fighters scattered in all directions, each pilot improvising their own attacks based on whatever opportunities they saw. Council defensive systems couldn't track targets that changed direction and speed without warning. Council gunners couldn't hit ships that moved in ways their computers said were impossible. Meanwhile, Dr. Maria Santos had developed something even more devastating than her original biological weapons. Working with Centauri chemists and Rigel engineers, she had created a virus that could shut down organic technology while leaving living beings unharmed. "Deploying biotech shutdown in 3, 2, 1, she announced from the Alliance science ship. Clouds of specially designed organisms spread through space toward the Council fleet. Within minutes, every ship with organic components was losing power, weapons, and shields. The mighty Council fleet began drifting helplessly as their living technology died. "Council flagship is powering down," reported Lieutenant Kim from her position on Jinwoo's ship. "All defensive systems offline." "Perfect," Jinwoo replied. "Time to collect some prisoners." The capture of Council Speaker Thex Moore himself was the final blow to Council authority. The being who had seemed so powerful and confident when delivering ultimatums to humanity now sat in a detention cell aboard Admiral Vasquez's flagship, his crystal skin dimmed with defeat. "How?" he asked Ambassador Sarah Chen when she came to question him. "How did an inferior species defeat us?" Sarah looked at the former ruler of the galaxy with something between pity and satisfaction. "We're not inferior, Thex Moore. We're different. You spent 3,000 years believing that age and tradition made you superior. You forgot that intelligence and adaptability matter more than experience when you're too rigid to learn." "The Council brought order to the galaxy," Thex Moore protested weakly. "The Council brought control," Sarah corrected. "Order and control aren't the same thing. You'll learn the difference when you stand trial for your war crimes." The trial of the Galaxy Council leadership became the foundation for a new galactic government. Instead of rule by the oldest and most powerful species, the Free Species Alliance created a system based on equality and mutual respect. Admiral Vasquez found herself in the unusual position of being offered leadership of the new galactic government. Representatives from 43 species wanted her to become the first president of the Galactic Federation. "I'm honored," she told the Assembly, "but I have to decline. Humanity didn't fight this war to replace the Council's dominance with our own. We fought for freedom, and freedom means that no single species should rule over all others. Instead, the new government was structured as a true alliance. Each species had representation based on their population and contribution to galactic civilization. Decisions were made by consensus rather than by decree. Most importantly, no species could be forced to join or remain if they chose to leave. The Galaxy Council's former territories were liberated one by one. Species that had been forced to submit to Council authority for centuries celebrated their independence. Worlds that had been strip-mined to supply the Council's endless expansion were given aid to rebuild. Council Speaker Thex Moore and his co-conspirators were tried for war crimes and crimes against galactic peace. The evidence was overwhelming. 3,000 years of conquest, oppression, and planned genocide against dozens of species. "The defendant, Thex Moore, is found guilty on all charges," announced the chief judge, a Rigel jurist known for her fairness. "However, the Galactic Federation chooses mercy over revenge. Instead of execution, the defendants will spend their remaining lives in service to the species they wronged, helping to rebuild what they destroyed." A year after the Council's defeat, Captain Jinwoo Park stood on the observation deck of the new Federation headquarters. Through the windows, he could see ships from dozens of species working together to build a better future. "Hard to believe it all started with a simple ultimatum," said Dr. Santos, joining him at the window. "The Council made one fatal mistake," Jinwoo replied. "They thought that destroying our infrastructure would break our spirit. Instead, it just made us angry. And human anger is apparently something the galaxy had never seen before," added Ambassador Chen, who had become the first human representative to the Federation Council. Admiral Vasquez approached their group, carrying a datapad with the latest reports from the former Council territories. "Speaking of human anger," she said with satisfaction, "I just received word that the last Council holdout has surrendered. The Vorthak homeworld is requesting admission to the Federation." "All of them?" Chen asked in surprise. "Even the ones who planned the original attack on humanity? Apparently, they've realized that cooperation works better than conquest." Dr. Santos laughed. "Who would have thought that the Galaxy Council's attempt to crush human expansion would end up expanding human ideals throughout the entire galaxy? The Council moved against us and triggered humanity's fury," Jinwu reflected. "But our fury wasn't about destruction, it was about justice." Admiral Vasquez looked out at the ships building the new galactic civilization and smiled. The Council thought that 3,000 years of dominance made them unstoppable. They forgot that every civilization eventually faces a choice: evolve or be replaced. "They chose not to evolve," Ambassador Chen added, "so we replaced them." As they watched, a group of young beings from different species worked together to install a new communication array. Humans, Centauri, Rigel, Tau Ceti, and even some former Council species collaborated as equals, each contributing their unique abilities to the common goal. The Galaxy Council had moved against humanity to prevent them from changing the galactic order. Instead, they had guaranteed that humanity would lead the galaxy's transformation from an empire of dominance to a federation of cooperation. It was, Jinwu thought, exactly what humans did best: turn their enemy's greatest strength into their greatest weakness, and transform conflict into opportunity for something better. The age of the Galaxy Council was over. The age of galactic freedom had begun. And it had all started because they made the mistake of making humans angry.